Hi, my name is Anil Khandelwal. I am the founder of Yogic Secret Healthcare. Before I talk about Yogic Secret, let me tell briefly about myself. By profession, I am a finance professional, but have spent over 3.5 decades in the corporate world. And I was fortunate enough spending my time both in India and overseas, and with some of the well known multinationals. During this journey, I was lucky enough to work across sectors, and if I have to look at where I spent my major time was into pharmaceutical, healthcare, and food industry. And that is where I thought that after such a long journey, what do I need to do going forward? And that's where an idea clicked. Having spent time predominantly in the pharma, healthcare, and food sector, that's something we need to think about. That people today, if we look at some statistics around the world, today the leading cause of health concerns are stress and lifestyle. Not only that, today due to environmental changes, due to social fabrics coming under pressure, the competition, the comparison, and so on, that led to a point that today what's happening, that people at an early stages of life, they have started consuming medicines. The fundamental fact is these medicines, they definitely help in the first place, but these are symptomatically they help. But when it comes to address the cause of the disease or the health concern, somewhere our ancient wisdom, our ancient practices, they play a very, very important role. And that is the genesis of getting into that space, though being a finance professional, but I figured out that it is nothing but we all realize the fact that if we want to live a healthy quality life, we need to ensure that we should never remain detached or unconnected with Mother Nature. Now, coming to Yogic Secret Healthcare, this idea came for the fact that when I found that in the Western world, there is a lot of practices being adopted, whether in the form of supplementation made from the standardized extracts from the herbs, spices, or plants, but also a lot of prevalence of practices of yoga and meditation. While looking at our home market, where we see the problem of India becoming one of the largest population suffering from type 2 diabetes, not only that, the stress and anxiety, fear, loss of sleep apnea we call it. So innumerable problems which are being seen every now and then. On top of it, the energy level is also somewhere getting compromised. Now, looking at all these things, we want solution overnight basis. And that is where we find the solution which comes in the form of medicines and drugs. One very important aspect, and why this entire journey is getting into, that we should remind ourselves that we are made of 5 elements. In a simple language, if I call those 5 elements, these are Jal, Vayu, Agni, Prithvi, or Akash. And somewhere the body has the capability to treat on its own. I call it that our body is the real doctor. But unfortunately, due to sedentary lifestyle, due to eating foods which is ultra processed food, or maybe due to unwanted stress which we carry, these things have cumulatively started impacting on our life at an early stages. And then the thought came in that what is that which can prevent these problems to become chronic in nature. And that is where the idea came that why not revisit on this space and look at that what is best we can do in order to bring in the preventive aspect of healthcare. While this is also a fact that these diseases, when they become chronic in nature, and it is a fact that these medicines which we consume cannot reverse because they work on a symptomatic basis. But when it comes to addressing the cause of the problem, probably it is only the mother nature, our lifestyle, our diet, all these things they can resolve more efficiently and more effectively than medicines. In fact, I was reading somewhere and it was very clearly mentioned that the leading cause of death in the world is due to adverse drug reactions. And the second cause, if we look at, these are cardiac related issues. And on top of it, what we are hearing now and then, that the cancer is becoming a pandemic, or it will become pandemic, because the amount of consumption what we are doing of ultra processed food, which are missing all the micronutrients, or when the shelf life of the product is more than 8-9 months, what it carries a lot of carcinogenic material, which again lead to these consequences. And therefore, looking at everything, we thought of that why not drive a mission where we are, we can educate, we can help, we can facilitate people with the help of many interesting professionals, experienced, whether medical doctors or nutritionists or dietitians or health practitioners. We can combine these energies and create an awareness in the minds of people that this is your life, which is very precious, and how we can prevent ourselves falling into the bracket of illness. It's a known statement that when the diet is right, there is no need of medicine. When the diet is wrong, the medicine is of no use. Another very important aspect that we tend to forget, that our biological age is something which we need to pay attention to irrespective of our chronological age. Biological age means that it may not happen that in early stages of life you confront with respiratory problem, which means your lung capacity is somewhat compromised, which means that you are aging much faster than your chronological age. And a similar situation could be for the heart, could be for the kidney, could be for the liver, could be for the gut health, and so on. And therefore, it becomes very, very important and relevant that we need to address our lifestyle, our diet, our sleep management, our relationship, our emotional balance, and so on. So coming to Yogic Secret, the philosophy what we brought in over here is to address the problems arising due to lifestyle issues, lifestyle disorders. And that is where we thought that why not come up with those products which are not only scientifically driven, which are not only 100% natural, which are not only free from heavy metals or impurities, or subject to microbial test, or free from pesticide residues, and so on. But most important, they are backed by human clinical studies. Meaning thereby that each of the product which is offered to the consumer has to driven by the practices which are followed in a pharmaceutical practices. One very important statement that I am not averse to the medicines or the drugs, they are very relevant and very important when it comes to the acute stage, and they very much very supportive and helpful, or even when someone is subject to interventional surgery, they're definitely very helpful. But I am coming to the point that the problems which are arising due to lifestyle, or arising due to our diet system, or arising due to not getting engaged into physical activity or exercise, they at an early stage start impacting our life, which we don't realize, and they become chronic in nature. And the solution lies only with the Mother Nature's amazing gifts. While I am making this statement, again, very important and relevant point over here is that our kitchen at home is actually the best clinic. Why I say that? Very simple fact that all these spices or herbs or even the grains we consume, they all carry a lot of therapeutic value. Actually speaking, they are the real medicines. But important is that when we eat freshly cooked food, we feel very happy. We feel that something which is really supportive to the digestive system. But the moment we eat outside or any food which is having some shelf life, we end up having some kind of a gastric issue. This is one of the examples which I am quoting about and which is very important. And that's why on the lighter side, I call the mother or wife or anyone managing the kitchen at home should ideally be designated as Chief Happiness Officer, because it's not the ingredient of spices or grains, but it is the love and care which goes into preparation of the food. And ultimately, we all know the fact that the food is the real medicine, provided how careful, how attentive, how disciplined are we when it comes to the diet management. Frankly speaking, there will not be any need for any kind of medication. We can live disease-free and medicine-free, provided we practice our daily life in such a fashion where we do not miss out what we really need to do. And three things which I consider is the diet, which should be full of nutrition. The second important is restful sleep. It's actually a big medicine in its own. And probably another thing is exercise. A moment we incorporate these things as part of our daily routine, I think this is what the mission and vision of Yogic Secret, where we want to create an awareness. Nevertheless, body has to age. It's a fundamental fact. And as the body is aging, it requires some supplementation to cover up before it becomes or faster aging. As an example, our heart is pumping 2000 gallons of blood every 24 hours. Imagine. And it is supplying that blood into almost 50 to 60,000 miles of capillaries, nervous system. And interestingly, the blood, if you know, it carries two things predominantly. One is oxygen and another is nutrients. In order for our body to remain active, agile, and we call it age-proof, perhaps we need to be very, very sure that our heart functions properly. But what happens that because of all these things, as the body is aging and somewhere or the other, we do have some kind of a stress in life, which is not bad also. Stress is bound to be there, but the impact which comes onto the body, and as the aging process is on, we need to incorporate certain dietary supplements as part of our dietary system. And therefore, this is what we believe that, like for instance, there are two common issues which are of great relevance. One is the inflammatory condition in the body, and the second is oxidative stress, which is free radicals, it's called in the other way. And we need to address these things as the body is aging. That what is that? Like for instance, I give you for anti-inflammatory, our turmeric, which is an Indian spice, is considered to be the best anti-inflammatory. But as the body is aging, the amount of turmeric what we take in our daily food is not sufficient enough to address the inflammatory conditions in the body. Right? And similarly, the free radicals, because of the pollution, because of some kind of pesticide residue in the food what we intake, or the water at times is contaminated, the free radicals also cause a lot of diseases. In order to address these things, it is important that we must incorporate certain supplements which carry a lot of very important bioactives, and they help to settle these inflammatory conditions in the body and also to remove those free radicals which occur in the body. So the point I'm trying to drive is that if we bring in these things as part of our daily dietary system, we will find ourselves to be actually maintaining our biological age irrespective of my chronological age. And that's where the Yogic Secret efforts are in this direction, to bring in products which are not only scientifically driven but also backed by clinical studies, backed by that they are free from heavy metals, they are free from pesticide, insecticide residue, they are free from any kind of impurities, as well as these are subject to microbial test. We have experienced this far that people have been benefited immensely by considering these as part of the dietary system, and probably it didn't take them more than 2 to 3 weeks after starting consuming these things, the changes of their particular disease area. Well, this is a journey which is very promising in the sense that the kind of environment which we are faced with, the challenges which we are faced with, the competition we are faced with, probably this should necessarily become as part of our dietary system. And it is not just these supplements, but equally important is that we must ensure our engagement in some physical activity or exercise, and on top of it the yoga and meditation, which again plays a very, very important role. And last but not the least, as I said before, restful sleep actually is a very important medication. So with these things, this is our mission, this is our vision. How best we can achieve, time will tell, but I'm sure as I interact with people, I see there is a lot of desire and lot of requirements of this nature, and hopefully we should succeed as we go forward.